Hi, and welcome to this week's The Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Leigh Rowland, and Leigh's back on the podcast. He's been on the podcast quite a few times. First guest appearance was in August 2021, so 4.5 years ago, and then most recently in January 2025. She's been on the podcast a few times, and I just wanted to get Leigh back on just to update in terms of where he's at, what he's been doing, what he's up to, talk about as well the estate agency they set up and diversifying his income in a little bit way as well, because obviously that follows on nicely from what I've been talking about recently. And yeah, and just have a quick chat about the network he's set up. We both have set up together with regards to appointed representatives and the reason behind that. And yeah, and just good to have a chat and a catch up. So let's just get Leigh onto the podcast. So welcome back onto the podcast, Leigh. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Craig. Keeping well. How are you keeping?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good, thank you. And I appreciate you taking time out of your multi-business lifestyle to come back on the podcast because you are. I think it's fair to say you are the guest appearance winner so far on this podcast. You have got the most chalks up on the chalkboard in terms of guest appearances on the Mortgage Broker broadcast. So, well, congratulations, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. It's always great. It is great to come on. I have been on a few times overnight because I think you even you trusted me to do a couple of series as well, which was the Mortgage Bullet and also the Habit series as well. I don't know if you remember. I was on it for
Absolutely.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the Habit series January 24. That was January
Wasn't
2024.
it?
So over 2 years ago we did the Habit mini series. So yeah, you have. You can remember the first one was in August 2021, which is obviously 4.5 years ago, 5 years this year, when you were sort
Right.
of in your garden. I'm sure you was in your garden on the first one. I'm sure you was
Yeah,
in
I
your
was.
garden or something trying to get phone signal in terms of recording a podcast. So
If you remember, the dog was barking. The dog
yes.
was barking from next door, and it was actually all right. But yeah, I was out in the garden, didn't have any signal. Before you say anything, yes, I was in Wales, and the signal was rubbish. But we
I
have
can
got signal now.
yeah, because there's a guy outside pedaling his bike, like on the Leigh, for those that
Yeah,
haven't listened to the up-teen episodes of the Mortgage Broker broadcast, do you want to just get a brief introduction of who you are? Obviously, you've already said you're in South Wales, so that's one thing already.
yeah, I'll try and be as brief as possible because it'd be quite boring otherwise. I think if you just take it from 2018, qualified to be a mortgage broker, worked in a directly authorised company. Then I moved into a company which was under a network, and then I moved to be coached by yourself and my brand, my way, which was coached by yourself, but overall there was a network on top of that. Then I had a limited company, Mortgage Made Easy, which was there, and then through discussions with yourself, I always fancied going directly authorised, and with your guidance and partnership work, which we might come on to later, I suppose. Uh, we, I suppose, then worked out we're going to have a company called Fear Financial, where I was the main shareholder. You were the main shareholder, but I was the director. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
correct?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I stuttered for that bit a bit, and then we named Fear. I think back in April 2023.
yeah, 20, yeah, well, yeah, wow, it is a few years ago. Wow,
Yeah, and I think then we finally were directly authorised in December 2024.
yes, yeah, that's it, yeah, true, yes.
And
There's been a
yeah, and
bit of a
then
long
we
process then.
no, it wasn't. It's because we were so good at naming the company, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Named the
we did.
company in 10 seconds, and then we had to put some plans in place, obviously, and we wanted to do it properly, if you remember. We didn't want to rush it.
Hmm.
Um, and we were sort of learning as we were going as well, which is quite interesting. But anyway, the directly authorised company is called Fear Financial. Been trading since like December 2024, and yeah, so that's the mortgage side of things. Also opened a I don't know what estate agency with my business partner Michael Osborne, April 2025, called Property Hotspot Sales, and
Wow,
I'm
that's come
still
for a
sort of
year
coaching.
then. Wow, that's coming for a year.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, might touch on that later. That's been a hell of a
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
experience, that one. And then I'm still coaching the football team, still sit on the board of the charity. Yeah, so I'm still got a beautiful wife and beautiful children, so I've been keeping myself busy.
To be fair, it's yeah, you've got plenty going on, which we'll get into. I think they say it's good to get into the conversation and talk about. We'll talk about fair financial. We'll talk about because I think it just flows nicely from the conversations I've been having and discussions and the podcast as well about diversifying income as a mortgage broker and sort of not just looking at with I touched on it last week again in terms of a change in mindset and way of thinking. But if you look at all the podcasts so far this year, it's all about sort of diversifying, thinking different. If you are just a PT mortgage broker, you will struggle long term in terms of the way things are sort of going. So yeah, I think let's. Are you okay? Let's get into the estate agency. Is that all right? 'Cause I think that's sort of good timing in terms
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
year. In
whatever you.
terms of,
As you know, I'm open book. I'll talk about absolutely anything you want me to. What
good.
the estate agency?
Good, good. Yeah,
Um,
no, I think that. Thanks for trusting me with the no agenda and sort of getting straight into that. I think, as I say, to diverse in terms of, I think just to set the scene a little bit, a lot of brokers will get into the world of mortgage broking self-employed, whether they're working for a firm or running their own business, coming from that corporate estate agency background, which tends to be quite. I followed that path. I know you didn't, but I followed the path of estate agency into then self-employed. A lot of brokers will follow that route, and
yeah,
so it's quite brave to think, "Do you know what? I've got this limited company, I've got a network, I've got this business, different businesses going on." But one of the things that brokers talk about is trying to get into estate agents, targeting local estate agents, lead generation, thing like. But do you know what? And you've sort of gone, do you know what? No, I'll just set the whole thing up and do that anyway. So how was that? You said with your business partner Mike Osborne, who how did this all sort of come about with the estate agency?
Um, well, exactly. I never really wanted to work with an estate agency because I just thought it was too much. They were too much of a pain in the ass. Um, I'm stuttering a
S-
bit because I don't want to
Say
insult
how it
anybody.
is.
I just
Oh,
didn't
no,
want.
say how it
I
is.
just couldn't be.
Yeah.
I just couldn't be asked with, or qualifying things, and they're not coming through, and they're pressurising you. But then when I set that mortgage made easy before fear was born, I did have a local estate agency and she was very good, but it just didn't in the long run it just didn't work out for one reason or another. I think it was mostly around communication, to be honest with you, Craig. And so that relationship just ended. No drama, it was just ended. One of those just fizzled out. And Mike and I, we share like a building, and he's got a property development business and a lettings agency, and I had the mortgage business. And we just sat outside one day outside the property hotspot, and we knew it was going to be like an all-encompassing uh, building for property, for anything you want to do with property. Hopefully people would think property, think hotspot. That was the actual thing about it. And we
Right.
just sat
Okay.
there. Yeah, well, that was the whole thing. So locally, people might think property, think hotspot. Do you know what I mean? And then contact one of the team or myself or whatever. That was the thinking behind the name.
Okay.
It's quite generic as well. So it could be sort of put out to other areas as well. If you had like a property hotspot Cardiff, for example, in the future. But anyway, that's a different story. So yeah, I had loads of inquiries. People wanted to know how much they could borrow and where the houses were, and they were sort of sending me properties back and forth anyway. And then people were saying, "Oh, I'm going to sell my house." And in the end, Mike and I just said, "Well, we just well do this ourselves. Just well do it ourselves." I talked to you about you advised me. You said, "Mate, it's a great idea." And so then we. Well, you did. I can remember. It's like
I
I,
do
I
remember that. Yeah. You're trying to
you.
blame me now, aren't you? To sort of say, well,
No, 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 not at all. And so then thankfully, Mike looked into the systems and the CRM, it would actually work. And his wife is within that sector as well, Charlene, and she's fantastic. Um, I I've got quite a good local network, if you like, on social media, which has sort of served me well, with regards to business. Let's just call it overall business. People have been very kind to me, shared my stuff, liked my stuff, and recommended me. And then we've also got Jordan, who people might know because I've tagged him in everything, and Luke as well, who does the social media side of things and modern media marketing. And as a team, we just came together and just worked out a strategy of how we're going to do it. And the strategy really was that larger corporate estate agents who are going to watch this and they're not going to like me very much seem to have a sort of one size, I say fits all or fits no one, I don't know, where they just keep with a certain jargon, certain way of working. And I think that especially in South Wales, people just had enough of the complete, like, not lies. I wouldn't say lies, just like fabrication or uh, just not telling not being real with people, not speaking the language. It's a bit like when I come into mortgages, when I was sort of
Yeah.
mortgage, it was not about jargon, it was just about simplifying things for the general public. And so we wanted to be sort of real people selling real houses to real people, um, without any tricks, without any messing about. It is what it is type of attitude. And because of our location, people appreciate it rather than sort of a different approach. And there
Hmm.
are some amazing, I'm not saying it's just us, there's some amazing estate agents locally who do exactly the same. There are some amazing ones, and that's the truth. But that was our sort of strategy was right. Well, if the majority of people are not treating people like greatly, um, the massive people, because we had some horror stories. That's what really got me passionate about it. Like I won't go into it, but there was a few stories where vulnerable people were left high and dry, really. And you know me, Craig, I can't handle that at all. I
Hmm.
can't handle vulnerable people being stressed out, even alone, anything else. And so we thought we'd just go in and simplify it, tell people the truth, and sell some houses. And that was how it. That's how it went. And so I sort of do the social media side of things, the content. Luke makes all the good stuff happen, and then between us as a team, we're doing the viewings, valuations, and whatever. Yeah, we got three. We got three more going on this week now. So
Right.
it's not massive numbers, but it's a bit like everything that you do. Really, if it can grow naturally, I suppose, without it being forced, then you sort of grow at the same speed that the business is growing, and
Hmm.
gives you some good stability. And I'm learning. I tell you what, I learned what day we on today. Yeah, I learned a few things this week, which I'll take with me forward now because it's a little bit different to the more regulated world of mortgages, let's say.
I think that's there's two messages that I'm getting from that, which clearly is quite of how you are as a human being and part of your values and things like that, which is simplifying things in terms of the way that it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. And that's probably we'll talk about mortgage committees, we'll talk about fear and everything else along with that. But I think like I say, it is simplifying that from that point of view. And then the other part of it is that spotting the opportunity. So just going with it rather than think you if you would have said 8 years ago, if you was on this podcast in August 2021, we'll go sooner than that. So we'll say August 21, because that was the first time you was on this podcast. If I'd have said to you, right, Lee, you're gonna be on the podcast in 4.5 years' time, you're gonna have mortgage made easy is where is absolutely flying. You've got a mortgage network with appointed representatives. You've got a lettings agent, you've got an estate agency, and you've got a high street brand on the main high street in the place where you live, which is the one-stop shop, which is the property hotspot where people go to when they think about everything to do with buying, selling, home, and moving. I'm sure you wouldn't have thought, yeah, that was part. Unless, well, it was part of the plan or not part of the plan. I'm going to say it's not part of the plan. I think from how you've fallen into these things.
No, but you've got to take opportunities, weigh up the risk, and go get involved with it, haven't you? Really, we're not, Craig. I can't let you just leave it there because we got a long way to go yet with all of these things.
Hmm.
We got a long way to go, but like I said earlier, what we can do is start it off, grow it naturally, and fingers crossed. If you look at the long term, which I think you mentioned about brokers earlier, didn't you? Just doing PTs and stuff like that. If you
Yeah.
look at the long term and the bigger picture, um, I've always believed in sort of multiple income streams anyway, because if that one income stream gets cut off, then or even just reduces, then you've got problems, haven't you? So it's
Yeah.
attractive to me. I like new I like, me. I like a challenge as well. Wondered if I could do it with the estate agency, and at the moment, I'd probably say I'm just about winning on points. Just about winning.
Depends on what day you ask. What depends on what day it is. Is that how you feel? How you feel?
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it's just so sort of fast changing and fast paced. But with you've got very like some things just happen with you've got no control over, um, and that's that. That's just the way it
Yeah.
is, and you just got to start to accept that, which is tricky when you haven't been used to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
just learning process. Yeah,
I think that's it. Like you say, if you it's just learning to, as I'm, that I'm a firm believer in just focusing on what you can control and worrying about that and not worrying too much about the other noise, shall we say, that goes on. Obviously, you can try and influence things, but within certain things that you can influence. But ultimately, I just think about it. Just screams the whole thing of being brave, which is what we have all like everybody who goes self-employed, everybody who steps out of the comfort zone, everybody that sort of does something that actually scares them, makes them nervous, worries them, and all the rest of it, and all the emotions that come with that is just about being brave. And I think that's the thing with it is just it's one of those where you looking back, like you say, you've been honest and sort of say you're not the end product in any way, shape, or form.
oh no,
You've got, and that's the beauty of our industry. That's the industry as like we will never. I talk about people that come into the industry come from other industries and they struggle because they sort of like, well, but within 6 months, I want to know everything about being a mortgage broker inside, and that's because that's the world they've come to because they've been selling this or doing that. This never. It's a product. Like I don't know mortgages as a product, but there's so many sort of different ratios within the mortgage world that which you can't control and you're continuously learning. So that's where people come into broking and think, I want to learn everything, I want to know everything, I want to be confident, I want to know my job inside out by its front by within 6 months. And then they leave the industry because they've not been able to achieve that. It's just you've got to remember, like we all learn every single day. Like we, like even now, we will learn something new today about what we do, and that's the beauty of this industry.
it is. It is, and I think. Boys, I was on another podcast about 2 weeks ago, and we were just talking about business in general, right? And I just said exactly what you said. Doesn't matter what industry it is or sector. If you go self-employed, you got your own limited company, right? And you put yourself out there. That's that. It's a you've got so much respect for people who do it just to take that step to do it because you've got to put yourself out there and you've sort of got to be on social media taking it as well. Really, if you're going to promote yourself, you've got to take it, and so it's really brave. And
Hmm.
then you like you're saying, I love it. I pinched it the other day, didn't I? I told you you've got to run your own race, haven't you? Don't look over your shoulder at other people. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just take it at oh you go. Run your own race at your own pace.
Wow, you just come. Is that right on your wall at the side of you? Like
Oh
you
man, I
just come up
can't
with
believe I
that.
just came up with that. But yeah, there you go. Right, let's
I'll let
stop
you have that
laughing because I
one.
always
That
laugh at
is
stuff like
recorded
this.
on this podcast, so I have that.
But and you're right. You can't know everything. You've just got to make educated decisions on what you do know. And I
Hmm.
think I think what we might discuss later is we've sort of identified that there needs to be, or if we can provide some form of pathway for brokers, then that might be something that we might be able to help with.
Hmm.
Is rather than us um, talking about sort of people who might come in and leave after 6 months, if that is the case, because they don't think they don't think they've mastered it, so to speak. But
Yeah.
go back to the pathway in a minute. But I think some of it is fueled by if you're not earning 100 grand a year or 150 grand a year, and people have only been in the industry 6 months and they haven't even. This is literally impossible unless somebody hands you a load of protection, which, well, let's be fair, it is not going to happen, is it? So it's
No.
really hard. It's really hard, and I don't like that type of pressure. But if me and you and Fear and some of the guys within Fear, we have had talks, haven't we, about making a pathway for
Hmm.
advisors to
Yeah.
maybe,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
and that's something we didn't mention my past, but I worked with young people for 20 years. developing young people, and so I appreciate the fact that people need ongoing support in a way which is relevant to their place in the journey. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Well, that's a good point. That's a good thing to their place in the journey because I think it's difficult. It's like if you're somebody, you talking about the things there that you're talking about. So and you look putting all these sort of different scenarios into the mix. You're now self-employed, so you've got nobody managing you, telling you what to do, where you go. You've got no sort of bench like you've been being told like this is your target, this is expectation, this is what you need to be doing by when, these hours of work, all these different things put in there. You've got nothing like when you go self-employed, truly self-employed, and I'm not talking about there is that fine balance between self-employed with targets, expectations, and KPIs, and then truly self-employed.
yeah,
That is the difficulty with it. And if you've got no, so if you come from that different world, you've now got that freedom. You've been brave. You've now got that freedom. It's easy to look at the comparisons because actually that's what we want to feel as though we're human beings. We've got that natural instinct to feel part of that fear of missing out.
yeah,
Not probably not a great example, but do you know what I mean? You've got that fear of community and things like that, and that's what sort of people like can forget that or not be prepared for that when they go self-employed, thinking, actually, I've got nobody to tell me what to do, where to be, by what time, what the expectations are, what does this look like? And then when they haven't got that, and then they've got nobody to turn to try
that's the
and give
problem.
them exactly, that is you're
Yeah,
absolutely right there, mate. That is the problem where they've got nobody to turn to and sort of say, am I doing all right? Am I where I should be? What do you think? And it's those kind of giving that reassurance that they aren't, because you will go through that 6 months in. It happens generally. It depends on who you are, but generally 3 months, 6 months in is that key point really where you start to question: have I done the right thing? Is this what I
yeah,
should be doing? Should I
yeah,
go back to what I've been doing before? Am I earning
yeah.
enough? Pressure from relationships and partners and
I've been
mortgages
there
to
myself.
pay.
I've been
I
there
know, and I can see
myself.
you smiling. And like I said,
I,
we've all been in that situation where it's sort of, what do you
I've
mean you've
been there
not earned any
myself.
money this month? Like what? And so you get questioned externally. You're questioning yourself internally without anywhere to sort of get support and help. It's then okay. Well, this is not for me then now. Like I'll just go back to what I knew before.
But I got to a place where it was really hard, and I know the client now, and I know the client. I was waiting on a Royal London protection to come in, otherwise I was done. I was done, right? And it was like balanced on this, and got delayed a little bit because of a health concern or something, and then literally it was. I remember I was thinking, oh shit, like I don't know what I'm going to do here, and it dropped in on the Friday, and this must have been the Wednesday, and I worried about
Right.
it for weeks. And that was that Royal London protection. Thank goodness for Phil from Royal London, the BDM at the time, because he was amazing, and dropped in. And then luckily, then a few other things dropped in, and then I was through that bit. But I've had those feelings. I was nearly there. And that was purely financial. I wasn't beaten up by the processes or nothing, and so it is hard. Even you mentioned financially, that is tough, especially
Hmm.
if you haven't planned for the what's it like? What would you call it, Craig? You're probably better than me. Like a vacuum? Oh, it's not a vacuum, is it? What would it be when there's a space in time where you don't earn any money but you're working? It would be what would it be called? A lag, for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
example.
Lag's good. Yeah, lag is a good. Yeah. So that
Yeah. So if you're
bridging
new to
that
it,
gap and bridging that
yeah,
lag. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that's something you got to be prepared for. So people need support through it, especially at that time when they might be just about, oh, I've had enough, or not even that. They need support all the way through it anyway. Like
Hmm.
I was lucky I met you when I did, because I needed more. I need support, but at a different time then. See, Craig, 'cause I was okay by then. I needed support for business development, and that's how we got where we are now. Like, so there's support all the way through, and then it's just about mentoring. Then once mentoring and coaching, once people are at the place where I suppose appointed representatives, if that was the case.
Did you feel like so taking yourself back, and I appreciate you being totally honest with what because we've got no idea where this conversation was
No,
gonna
I haven't got
go.
a clue
So
what
like,
how to go down it. I'm happy to
but
go down it.
but I just think it's relevant in terms of, did you at that point when you're sort of like questioning and concerned and worried, do you then start to look at social media and think and like look at, do you take like, did you get distracted with noise of what other people say they were doing and that made you question yourself even more? Or was it just a case of, I know I'm
Well,
the right human being, I know I'm the right person, I know I've got my right values and just getting on with it?
no, it's hard. I didn't. I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't look for quick wins, but I never went through it. As in, like paying for something, not leads. Paying. I won't go into it because it'll be obvious what I'm talking
Hmm.
about. But I'm not saying I haven't clicked through a few pages to research into why other people are doing better than I was at that time,
Okay.
right? So
Okay. Yep.
you sort of not desperate or desperate-ish because your mind goes a little bit crazy when you're stressed out. So you're trying to work out the solution. But then I suppose, yeah, I did question it. But then there's something inside you with your values and your honesty and what and and the way that you sort of think. If you and you can think that positively, and you get educated a little bit more, then you're glad you didn't click that final button to go on to that whatever it might be. And then if you trust yourself and you back yourself, I can't say in every situation because I don't know every situation, but I would suggest that if you trust yourself, back yourself, educate yourself, support yourself with the right people, you'll get there
Hmm.
without without selling your soul, for example.
Yeah, which is like I said, without, that's a good point in terms of. No, thanks for sharing that, Lee. I think that's the thing is with it is that it's that transition from self-employed mindset. So going from the employed world that we've all been in, because we tend to, very few of us will sort of leave education and then go straight into self-employed. Very few people will do that. It's more of the route of going employed. So that transition of, and those habits which we've talked about before, the habits of being employed, told what to do, where to be, by what time, what hours you're working, what shift you're putting in, all those kind of things. And then at the end of the month, a figure which you know is going to get paid into your bank account, and then you can live again for the next few weeks until that sort of drains away and you've paid your mortgage and everything else. The self-employed mindset, which doesn't help initially until you build a pipeline, until you've generated enough, and we won't talk about pipeline and the importance of pipeline today, but it's that transition period of employed to self-employed and how to deal with that, which is you're dealing with all these other things as well. That's just
Yeah,
then thrown into the mix of being that transition from self-employed to employed, which employed people will never understand until it's not one of those where you can. Here's a book about being self-employed. This is a book on the, or listen to these podcasts about being, until you are actually self-employed yourself. You've got no guaranteed income coming in. You've got to look at, and you've got all these sort of thoughts, concerns,
yeah.
worries, freedom, bravery, all these different emotions that are sort of going on in your head. But you know at the end of the month, your mortgage needs paying or your rent needs paying. Until you've been in that situation, you cannot know how that feels.
My only saving grace, I was 40 odd. I was 40 odd by the time I went completely self employed. So I had a
Right.
few more life skills under the belt than maybe somebody who's 20 ish,
Yeah.
25. So but I think that's the only thing I had going for me was my age.
Well, cause I was thinking then I think I was 45.
Well, yeah, it just
45. I
seemed
was 45.
like
I was 45.
I don't.
Yes.
You'd either have ignorance is bliss if you were just younger and you're just earning money and it was coming in, and you didn't, or you, if you sort of mid 20s and you were a bit more self aware, you need some guidance on it all, not just the financial stuff, the whole package of being a broker, because it's complicated. All of a sudden you're in charge of everything, aren't you? And the end bit, which is the money coming in. It's a
Mhm.
big old package to take on. It's
It is. It is.
worth it though. It's worth it because you're. And here's another one for you in charge of your own destiny, aren't you? That's yours as well, isn't it? I learnt, I've learnt some stuff.
Yeah, it has
Oh,
gone. It has gone in. I'm joking. Well, I think, but like you say, you've got it's that trade off, isn't it? You've got the trade off of the freedom. Like every when I talk to brokers, when they go like helping them going self-employed, as we have done, as I have done, it's that trade off of yes, it's amazing, the freedom, flexibility, in charge of your own destiny, running your own race, all these kind of things are amazing. You literally they are the best thing that you can do with your life. Like for me, like it's easy to look back and go, and I'm probably listening to things that's easy for you to say, Craig, because you've gone self-employed and you are in charge of your own destiny and all those things now, and you've not got necessarily the fear too much of not having an income and things like that. It's sort of a steady enough income that you know how to put you work out how to put that in place that generates income for you while you're able to do what you're wanting to do. So that's all sort of well and good, but it's that trade-off of but you've got the trade-off of being employed. Like you've got the employed trade-off is you could be whatever your notice period is, you could be unemployed in that period of time. That's reality. That is the
yeah,
harsh reality of that's not being in charge of your own destiny because this I've talked about it a long time ago. The security of I don't want to go self-employed because I want the security of being employed. Bullshit. That literally that's the reality of that is
yeah,
you have no security apart from your notice period. That because if they want to get rid of you, if your employer doesn't want you anymore, they can pay you off, give you a month's notice, a week's notice, a day's notice, whatever that is, and then you're then
yeah.
looking for work. So there's no security with employed.
No, I've had chats with quite a few mortgage brokers who maybe want to come under Fear Financial or previously under Mortgages Made Easy, who were employed through the bigger sort of companies nationally. And yeah, they do have they have they're afraid that if they give them like titles as well. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Titles. You can pay your
yeah, it's
mortgage with a
weird, isn't it?
tile. You can play your mortgage with a tile, you know that you know you what.
Yeah,
If you're struggling to pay your mortgage, NatWest will accept a certificate on that you've been given with a fancy Dan tile on. Here, there you go. That's a fancy Dan tile.
yeah. So, but with this now with Fear Financial, at least we're sort of in charge of our own destiny, me and you, aren't we? With regards
Hmm.
to the network. So it's we can now sort of act how we want to act as a network as we want a network to act because we had a conversation the other day. I don't know if I can say that word actually. I think we just don't want to, no, I won't say that. We just want to model the network how we would want to be treated, yeah,
Yeah,
and how
absolutely.
we
Yeah,
would
yeah.
want to
That's
be
exactly.
supported.
That is exactly it.
Um,
Yeah.
and so you might want to elaborate. You could probably articulate it better than me about we do want to be, and it's not cheesy. It's like a community,
Hmm.
yeah, which the
Hmm.
community supports each other, but it's based on the values of everybody. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, very fair to say. I think it goes back to what we've just been talking about there, that what is with regards to Fair Financial, it's a network. Like we are in charge, like we are doing this. Um, we've got appointed representatives and we're growing organically in terms of the number of appointed representatives because, like I say, it's like-minded individuals. But I think, and it is getting that community, it's getting all those sort of things together. However, I think with anything, like even if I go back to the estate agency world that I was in before, I learned a lot from large corporates of how not to do things. So how large corporates perform and what they do is not for everybody. That is for some people. I understand and I get
Yeah,
all that.
I do actually get that as well. It is for
Yeah,
some people in it, and that's
it
fine.
is.
That's
And
absolutely
that's the thing. That is
yeah,
fine. But what the difference is like with regards to what we've created with the network is that we're treating people how we expect to be treated ourselves. But the main thing is wrapped around all this, Lee, is that we are both self-employed. So if you look at any network, networks have employees. They have business development people selling the dream, selling the selling being an AR, and putting pressure on to join them as an AR, but they're employees. They have a different. I think my I understand this totally now because I've been so lucky to work with amazing people when I've gone self-employed, who I still work with few employed people, but mainly people are self-employed. The network is run with a self-employed by self-employed people with a self-employed mindset, whereas most networks are run by employees. Well, they are. They're employees in
Yeah.
terms of it. You've got layers and layers of employees. You've got layers and layers of KPIs. You've got layers and layers of egos. You've got layers and layers of sort of goals and aspirations. And again, I'll mention the word egos. Yeah, again, like as I mentioned it twice in the space of a few seconds, because
I was
that's
going to
what
pick
you
up.
have.
I was going to pick up on it the other day. Sorry to interrupt you, but
It's fine.
we were in a meeting, me, you, and somebody else the other day, and the person said, "So, what's your? I don't think it was a 5 year plan, growth plan or something." And we both know we want to grow, but I said to her, "Well, it's not an ego thing with us. We're not looking across the road and seeing how many other people we don't. It's just it was literally just came out of my mouth as something which I said automatically. It was nothing out of the process. It was like, well, it's not an ego thing. It's as many as want to come with us, and we can provide a good environment for them to grow in." And you could
Yeah,
see she was like, what's it going on? Yeah, normally she'd have 35 ARs by 2027, blah blah blah. And it was just, to me, it seemed natural to say, well, there's no egos with us. It is going to grow organically, and as supportive growth. If everyone is happy, then surely, like I said, a bit with the state agency, if it'll grow well, won't it? So
yeah. Well, that it's going to grow on. It will grow on solid foundations, and there is no,
yeah,
like you say, you're absolutely right. Like we see it. Like I've seen it firsthand. We've both seen it because we've referred to it. Where you sort of say, "Oh, we've got 30 ARs and we've got this," and and you sort of thinking, "Great, good for like good for you." Like if that's on solid foundations with the right community, helping and supporting the
God, that's
right
brilliant. Yeah,
individuals, then absolutely. I know that's not the case, but we won't talk about that. That's not the case because of the interactions I've had. But it's about providing the right platform for the right individuals in that safe space, as safe as it can be, with the right help and support, with the right
yeah,
community, with other like-minded individuals. So you've got other ARs on there, as we have appointed representatives in our network that have gone through situations that people will go through or people are going through right now about what deciding what they want to do and
yeah,
which network to join and things like that. There is no hidden agenda with us. There's no bullshit. There's no second guessing. There's no sort of we just provide it's quite simple that and it goes back to what you said very early on. It's about simplicity and it's about
yeah,
we don't need to overcomplicate it. The world is complicated enough. The world of mortgage broking is complicated enough. The last thing you need from your platform, your network, or wherever you ply your trade, the last thing you need is for that to be you're looking over your shoulder on that, thinking, what does my network think of me? Am I doing enough for the network? Like that's not like no, that's not how this is about you. This is you're the appointed representative. You should have like-minded foundations that you're building your business on if you can have like-minded foundations. But you get my point. It is just about
yeah,
sort of it is about the platform that we've created to have that for the right individuals. There's no goals
yeah,
with it, there's no egos with it, there's no aspirations. It's a natural if we stay as we are, then happy days.
brilliant.
We've
Yeah,
created a great
brilliant. Yeah,
platforms for some amazing
yeah,
people that enjoy
yeah,
doing what they're doing. Well, great.
yeah,
That's good. If there's more people join us, then great. That is good as well. It is about growing organically, but on the solid foundations that we've both built, and we will continue to build with
yeah.
like so. We took you hearing it briefly there about the academy and things like that, which we're starting to put in place, and we'll have another podcast on that. We're getting really into how the academy
Oh,
works and stuff like that. But that's bringing about from somebody who's non-industry, which I've done time and time before, and been getting through to become appointed representatives we've got a model on that. We know how that works. We build those with that those on solid foundations, and again, it's just building the platform for the right people.
Well, it's
So
exciting, isn't it? We're learning. Once again, we're learning every day, aren't we? Me and you. Like I think we we speak more now than we ever have. Like do we?
yes, which we
We have
do.
to.
Yeah,
We have.
but we
We
have
have
to.
to.
But that's the thing.
We
Like you
have
say,
to.
we have to because we're creating that solid foundation. Like the foundations are based on what we're doing for the, and we've got a lot of trust from our appointed representatives that they know that we're putting we've got the
Yeah.
foundations there for them to build their business.
Plus, we are trying to add things onto the offer as well, aren't we? Like you mentioned, the Fear Academy, which is in the process of being developed, and different products, for example, like the equity release, we're looking at right now, and there's a few other things that we could, which we are going to develop, which will make it a better platform, if you like, all round
Hmm.
for brokers.
Hmm.
Um, I can't go. I don't want to go into anything else. But I thought we were going to slow down a bit this year, mate. But we seem to have got faster. If anything, it's been an interesting first quarter, hasn't it?
It has, but I think it's like I say, I won't sort of say it's not. Yeah, it's certainly not about slowing down, but I think it's about going back to those the foundations of having the they say whether equity release, specialist lending, all these other things that maybe sort of we've got to look at where we certainly equity release is high on the agenda, and that's sort of where we're at. Because again, diversifying income, the equity release space will be, I predict it
Yeah,
will be huge in the short, more medium to long term. So you need to have that as part of the platform. So again, but I think the thing is, it just goes back to that sort of you spotting the opportunity, you be doing the estate agency, you doing the all these things where neither of us, I'm sure I certainly didn't. I went self-employed 9 years ago now. I when I said that I didn't think, oh, we're gonna have this, we'll have a network, we'll have I got my ideas and thoughts, but ultimately if you'd have said my 10-year plan back then, and we are where we're at, and like literally you're in the last year, Craig, of your 10-year plan, being a co-founder on a network and working with appointed representatives and supporting like-minded people to build their businesses was not high on my agenda right then. It was literally provide food, provide shelter, provide.
yes,
Do you know what I mean? That was the thing with it. However, because we have been through that, because we are self-employed, and because we've been through that process, we can help and support the right individuals
yeah,
more because
yeah.
we have, I'm not going to
You
say
need that.
trodden that path. Do you know what I mean? It's not, that's not the right way. But you know what I mean? It's like we've gone through those feelings. We've been
Yeah.
through those
Oh, there you go.
feelings, the highs and
Yeah,
lows.
that's better. The feelings thing. Yeah, that's more
Yeah,
like it. You know, we know what they feel. We can appreciate what they're feeling at different.
absolutely,
Yeah,
definitely.
and the good
And
thing
that's the
is, like you on about
go
the
on, sorry, mate.
10-year thing. Like we were lucky that. Well, I was lucky, or one of us was, or we both were. That we sort of and this will come back to joining maybe Fear as an advisor. Is that you find people who fit your puzzle a little bit, so you complement their skills.
Mhm.
Like Mike and I, Mike is completely different to me with the state agency, but my skills complement his. And Jordan's, who worked with me, his skills were always complemented mine. And I know that you've got a lot of experience compared to me in finance, Craig, but I think somewhere or other that we do help each other and work together well as a
Definitely.
team. And I think that when people maybe watch this, they might think, oh well, those two guys there and the Fear Academy or Fear Network, that feels like a bit of a jigsaw that would help me get to where I want to go. And it's the same at every stage, isn't it? You just need something to complement you, something to fit in properly. And I've
Hmm.
I've been trying to get at was I trying to say that I've been lucky with the relationships that I've made in the last sort of 6 years since coming into this sector, which have enabled me to sort of develop myself and the different businesses really, and I think that'd be important if I was watching this thinking, okay, will this help me as a broker, and then just seeing if it would, and if it feels right as well. That's another thing, if it feels right.
Hmm.
And the only reason you'll know is if you sort of chat to people or get reviews of people or call, link, like message myself or you for a chat.
Hmm.
But I'd like to say that the stuff we say on here and the way we talk to each other, our little interactions are exactly how they'll find us in real life anyway, you know. So
Yeah.
um, I might talk a bit
But
faster in real life actually if I get excited about something. So stand really go for it.
but the thing is, like you said, there's no you are who you are. You are who you are. It doesn't matter whether you're talking on this podcast, another podcast,
Yeah.
talking to a client, putting the house on the market, talking to about mortgages or protection or whatever, and whatever it is Lee Rowland. I mean, like, there's no sort of like because, and I think,
Well, you're
and
Craig
maybe
Skelton as well, aren't you? You know, you're the same.
yeah,
You're the same. You know,
exactly, yeah, and that, and there's no because life is complicated. Running a business is complicated. Being self-employed is complicated. Being a
yeah,
mortgage broker is complicated. Dealing with lenders, underwriters, protection, all these things are complicated. So the whole point of what we do and why we did this is because it is very much a one-to-one network. Is very much around the help and support of what the individual need. It's not like one shoe fits all kind of thing. It's very personal to what that individual need, and that's like the academy when we do roll that out. That like explain a lot of that in terms of the jigsaw bits of the jigsaw where, and that pulls it all together. I think that the thing with it is, Lee, that it's around the community of mortgage brokers. We're all going through the same thing. We're all going through the same challenges and the same frustrations with lenders, with clients, with all these things. Is then giving that platform and that foundation to think, "Do you know what? Nobody's gonna that new ego is not gonna come into that employer tomorrow, because networks are employers. That's what they are. That's that they have employees, so they're employers. Nobody's gonna come into that, and I've seen it firsthand with my business with networks, is that some new ego comes in, and all of a sudden, the whole playing field's changed, and I've not got the freedom. The whole point of being brave is to get freedom. The whole point of being
yeah.
brave is
That's
facing
good.
that
Yeah,
fear. That is facing
yeah,
that fear. Is
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
whole point of that.
yeah. I
So,
get
but if
that.
you've still
Yeah, I
got
do.
that being tugged behind, thinking actually my network's woke up today and said, right, if you're not doing 60 grand or 100 grand, we're going to charge you more, which is happening. Well, that how does that's not right for you as an individual, because again, it's
Yeah,
like the one shoe fits all corporate mentality, which is what we're
trying
all
to
trying
avoid.
to avoid. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
We have, mate. Honestly, I can't believe we've got through a lot of stuff, haven't we? We're just chatting away. He forgot I was even on the podcast. To be honest.
That's good. That is good, Lee, to be
Yeah,
fair. But I think that
yeah,
the thing is, Lee, like, I think just we've got a good account of who you are as a human being and what you're about and your values and stuff like that. We have from past podcasts. We have, and I really do appreciate you trusting me, you taking the time out of your busy mental life to sort of for chat to me for the last 40, 50 minutes now, without any agenda. But I think that's important with the podcast, is that like you sort of said what we're going to talk about. We'll just chat. We'll
yeah,
talk about it. But I think it's sort of relevant. It's not about products. It's not about this. It's not about the other. In terms of it's about being a mortgage broker, being brave, facing the
yeah,
fears. Hence why Fear Financial came about, facing the fear, and just having that freedom to do that. And I think that's sort of a great way to end the podcast.
yeah. And me. Thank you so much for having me on, mate. I know we speak every day, but I love the. I've always loved the podcast, and I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, man. I was genuinely mean that in terms of, I know you're busy. I know you've got sort of taken out of your time, of your hectic lifestyle. I appreciate that, and just trusting me with no agenda. But been great to have you back on. And like I say, it was January 2025 you was last on. So 13, 14 months later, you're back on. But it's been great to catch up with you. And thanks very much, mate. And I will no doubt speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon. Cheers, mate.
Thanks for that, Lee. Thanks for agreeing to come back on the podcast. Thanks for being a great guest, trusting me with no agenda, and really good to have a catch up and about what you've been up to over the last 12 months since you were last on the podcast, and what's going on looking for the next 12 months as well, really. So, yeah, thanks. Great guest as always. And I love having a chat with Lee. got any thoughts, comments about the podcast, please leave in whichever platform you listen to or watch the podcast as always. And if you are thinking about becoming a self-employed mortgage broker, then I've dropped in a little bit before about the non-cast to AR Academy that we're now launching as part of Fear Financial. So if that's something you've got your C map, don't know where to go, what to do, how to do it, then just drop me a message. We can have a quick informal chat and let's just see whether we are a fit for you in terms of what your goals and aspirations are. And we can talk through the program and how that works over the sort of 3, 6, 12-month program that we have from a non-cast to appointed representative. So yeah, just drop me messages on that. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe as always. And please don't forget, as Leigh alluded to in the podcast, don't forget to run your own race.